Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round 6, season 5 of the PNTCC. My name is Anders and I'll be talking you through the events of round 6, race 11 and 12. We're currently just watching Fabrice Lamy head round the circuit during their qualifying, and this is the final round of season 5, and one of 3 drivers in theory could win the championship. The favour heavily lies in Anders' favour, leading the championship at the beginning of this race, only needing 21 points to seal the deal. And as you can see, Anders, with 5 minutes left to go, is currently leading the way. 66, however, is one that is in contention for the championship, and weirder things can happen. All it takes is a disconnect for Anders, and that's it. That's basically the championship tossed up between 66 and Sunny, who is currently 4th place in qualifying. There was only 5 drivers for this round, which was a shame, as it was probably one of the closest and fastest races we've done, as Fabrice Lemy's... Oh no, Graham, sorry. Just gets that rear left tyre onto the grass and just losing control. And as we fast forward to the last 30 odd seconds of the qualifying, you see Anders has improved this time to a 1:11.0, or 1:11 dead practically. 66 is 7 tenths off the pace from Anders. It did kind of feel like during the race that the Opel needed a little bit more of a BOP, but we used practice sessions throughout the week and things like that to see how close, but it just seemed that Anders was on it on the night. Anders takes P1, 66 takes P2, Letterme P3, Sunny P4, and Graham in P5. Now, Graham, I accidentally called Connor Graham, who is another member of the community, who didn't race. So, I apologise for getting that wrong in round 5. So here we are, the cars are lining up for race 11 of the PNTCC Season 5, round 6 here at Donington Park National. One of the community's favourite circuits. I think we're just waiting for who to load in. Or is everyone loaded in? I think everyone's loaded in, actually. So we're just waiting for the lights to go out. Oh no, who are we waiting for? Might have been Letterme. So the camera is focusing on Graham as we start off the race. The lights are flashing. And off we pop for race 1, or race 11. Round 6 of the PNTCC. We're watching Fabrice Lamy as he's going down the inside of 66 into T1. 66 tries to hold the outside line. Just about gets it done on the run on to the old hairpin. Fabrice Lamy currently holding P3. Graham doing his absolute best. It was a very challenging combination for Graham. He's moved from the Cupra to the Honda Civic this week, just trying to give any old car a go. He's not in contention for the championship, but he's certainly in contention for race positions, as we've seen in previous races. And the Opel Astra leading the way on lap 1 as we head up the hill to the tight, blind right-hander. You've got to get the apex right here, otherwise you will understeer off onto the grass, and if that happens, well, you might as well kiss your position goodbye. Fabrice Lamy on the early charge against 66 here as we head into the chicane for the first time. And it just looks like 66 just has a much better line, but Sunny has also got a much better line through the chicane. And it looks like Fabrice Lamy is under pressure here, heading into T1. As we're now focusing on Cool Kid Sunny, who needs to gain a position to get those championship points under their belt to try and finish, or possibly get the championship. All depends on what happens at the front of the grid. Focusing now back on Fabrice Lamy in the Cupra, the only Cupra driver on the grid today. And Sunny is definitely not giving him a break here. He's definitely pushing Fabrice Lamy, as Fabrice Lamy runs a little bit wide on the blind right-hander, and that's what happens if you don't quite get the apex right. And Sunny's got the speed, then the exit speed out of the corner, and easily gains a position towards down into the chicane. Fabrice Lamy trying to brake late, but Cool Kid Sonny getting the car really nicely stopped there into the chicane. And powers on through over the timing line to start lap 3. Has Fabrice Lamy got any answer to this? And we can see Graham in the background, not far off the pace, only 1.5 seconds, but it's very easy at Donington. In one little mistake, because it's such a fast circuit, you can get left behind pretty quickly as Sonny eats a little bit of grass there coming down to the old hairpin, but manages to keep the Honda Civic under control. And you can see everyone's pretty much in their starting positions apart from Sonny and Lamy. So Anders is leading the way 1.5 seconds ahead of 66. Trying to tie up the championship in race 1. Lamy that time getting a much better apex through the corner and a really nice exit as well. Is it going to be enough to possibly challenge into the chicane? Probably not. It's four tenths behind. Not quite close enough. As there are just over 6 minutes left of the race to go, Sonny looking to maybe go a little bit defensive here into T1. But deciding to take his race to 9, and sometimes that is the better thing to do. The more you defend unnecessarily, the slower you become. You're just kind of inviting the pressure on. Sometimes it's much, much better to keep on the racing line. As down through the old hairpin we go once again. And this is rather close between the two of them for P3. And it does look like Fabrice Lamy has got into a little bit of a groove here. It's whether, you know, I think Murray Walker once said, quite famously, keeping up and catching up to someone is one thing, but getting by them is another thing altogether. I think that might be Murray Walker. I could be wrong. But down into the chicane we go. The art directors really not wanting to pull away from this battle, and I don't really blame them. Out of the 5 cars on the circuit, these are the closest two. And it looks like it could be quite a dicey battle, but the BOP of that Honda Civic and the Cupra seems pretty well balanced, to be honest. As Anders is now 2.3 seconds ahead of 66 in P2, who's having a little bit of a lonely race. We kind of figured out maybe towards this part of race 1 that there might not quite be enough ballast on the Opel as Fabrice Lamy runs a little bit wide through the old hairpin, but manages to keep control. Now there are 4.5 minutes left to go. Is there enough time for Fabrice Lamy to catch up Sonny and put a bit of pressure on again, or is now Sonny feeling the free space around them and looking to just get those consistent lap times in? The average lap time around here was around about the 1:12 mark. Across the field it was basically around the 1:12, which is not bad. We'll take that for an amateur racing league. Sim racing league. There's 3 minutes left on the clock now. Let's see if Fabrice Lamy can do much towards the end of this race. We can see the gap between Anders and 66 isn't really changing. Now I'll give you a little bit of nugget of information that myself, Anders, in P1 at the minute. I really wasn't sure if I had enough fuel. I knew it was going to be quite tight, and weirdly, you know when you go from qualifying into racing and then all of a sudden you start to use different gears through the corners and you end up using more fuel. For some reason, even though I had a pretty effective lead, I just randomly started using lower gears, which burnt the fuel a lot more, and I believe I was left with 0.6 litres left to go, which around this circuit I think we were using around about 1.4 litres, so it's not too bad. really. But still, it was a little bit squeaky bum time as we're on lap 7 now. And Graham doing pretty well there in the background, keeping the car nice and consistent. Only 3 seconds of drift, and for someone that's not really driven, well, he mentioned in the chat actually whilst we were racing that he hasn't played raced or drove at Donington since the original Toka games on the original PlayStation. So we're talking Big Tank Baby sort of days, and hopefully a lot of you might get that reference. I hope you do. If you do get that reference, you're in the same age ballpark as myself, and you should really get involved. Fabrice Lamy has got the gap down from 1.4 to 0.9 seconds with an additional lap left to go. 8-lap race this turned out to be. But whether it's enough for... enough time really for Fabrice Lamy to be able to mount any form of challenge with a second left to go. Can he get anything done? 0.8 is the gap as we go over the timing lines. Fabrice Lamy hasn't done his personal best in that lap, but he's done a pretty consistent one with it being a green, or I think green might actually be personal best. So that might be his personal best off the race. To be honest, I know purple is the fastest lap of the race. But Fabrice Lamy gaining a little bit of time, not much, a couple of attempts there through the old hairpin. So yeah, back up the hill. It does seem to be sector 2 that Cupra works a little bit nicer. Look at the cornering there by Lamy, that's lovely stuff. Really using the track limits to their advantage. Nicely done again. And it does look like, in all fairness, maybe an extra lap, and Fabrice Lamy might have been able to make a challenge, but... Or is there another lap? I mean, we've only got 26 seconds left of the race, so yeah, I think there might actually be one more lap. Perhaps it's a 9-lap race. It is 9 laps, wow, okay. That would make sense to why I thought my fuel was going to be a bit tight, because I think I planned for 8, and I completely forgot about that. So, we're on the last lap, and Fabrice Lamy is now right up the rear bumper of the Frenchman, Cool Kid Sonny. And Sonny, really pushing the front end of that Honda Civic down through the S's, through the old chicane. I think they're called the S's, I could be completely wrong. Apologies if they are wrong. Please correct me in the comments below. Can't remember every single corner name, and oh my god, Cool Kid Sonny runs a little bit wide at the top of the hill, kind of inviting Fabrice Lamy to have a go. Can Lamy keep us cool and possibly mount a challenge into the old chicane? It just looks like Sonny might got a better exit out of that top of the hill right-hander, and I think Sonny's gonna get away with that one. And through the old chicane they go. And Anders takes the race victory. 66 takes P2, Sonny P3, Fabrice Lamy P4, and Graham rounds us off in P5. Fastest lap went to Anders that race with a 1:11.409. 66 really wasn't far off the pace really with a 1:11.6. The rest of the field were in the low 1:12, so not a bad race 1. On to race 2. Now, for some reason, Fabrice Lamy is a bit of a ghost car. This is why the camera at the minute is not really focusing on anyone in particular. For some reason, in Spectator Cam, there seems to be a bit of a bug with Fabrice Lamy's car. So, the way that I'm going to do this, I'm going to commentate like we did on race 1, but I'm also recording race 2. You can see Lamy's meant to be second, so I'm going to record Lamy's perspective as well, and I'm going to try and intertwine these together. I've not recorded Lamy's perspective quite yet, so this is going to be quite difficult to commentate, but let's see what we can do. We can see 66 is squeezing the door to Anders as Cool Kid Sonny goes on through, and the invisible car of Fabrice Lettermy goes around T1 absolutely beautifully in P3. This is hilarious. I'm having good fun here. Right. And to be fair, Graham's looking to mount an early charge on the Cool Kid Sonny in P2. Graham was only really a 10th off the pace off the fastest laps. So we know that Graham's got the pace. It's just whether he's got the consistency to be able to mount a challenge to Sonny. Now, the great thing about these reverse grids is that the field is quite bunched up as we take a look at Fabrice Lettermy as we head up to the top of the hill around the right-hander for the first time. And heading towards the chicane to complete lap 1 of race 2/12 of the PNTCC Season 5. And through chicane we go. Fabrice Lettermy trying to put Graham under a bit of pressure, but maybe getting a little bit of a slow exit there, going a bit defensive as we now focus on 66, trying to overtake the car of Fabrice Lettermy. And not quite able to do so, as we now head down the hill towards the old hairpin once again. And this is quite difficult to commentate on because I don't know visually where on track Fabrice Lettermy is. So it's a little bit difficult, but it does look like they are quite bunched up together here as 66 is putting quite a lot of pressure now on Fabrice Lettermy. And Anders in turn putting quite a lot of pressure onto the Honda Civic of 66. By this point, with the points that you win by coming P1, Anders has won the championship. So Anders is kind of there to just have a bit of fun, see what extra points they can do as we now track Anders trying to make a move on 66. Now I know for a fact that Fabrice Lettermy was on the left hand side of Anders at this point, and he's got the slip, he goes for a move around the outside, just misses his braking point completely, and off into the gravel trap Anders goes. And 66 and Lettermy may continue their battle in peace. Anders has pretty much thrown away race 2. It was a very, very silly error from Anders. But Fabrice Lettermy now trying to take advantage of the situation and capitalise from 66. As up the hill we go. We've already down to just under 7 minutes as around the hill, the right-hander we go, up to the blind right-hander. And again, like I mentioned in race 1, it's very important to make sure you get that apex. If you miss it even by about a foot or two, it really, really jeopardizes your exit speeds and makes you very vulnerable. But up ahead, Sonny's leading a good race 2 right now. Graham is also doing rather well in P2. And it's just wondering whether Graham can put a bit more pressure onto Sonny here. But it does look like Sonny's able to just pull that gap just a little bit. As down the hill we go. Still on board with Fabrice Lettermy. Trying to mount a challenge to 66 as we now flick over to 66. Getting a lot closer to Graham in P2. And they both missed the apex quite a lot there. But up to the blind right-hander is the one that truly matters. Both of them do pretty well there. As now back on board with Fabrice Lettermy. Looking to maybe pick up the spoils if these two end up crashing or colliding or a bit of door room or battling a little bit too hard. And you can see Fabrice's lap time isn't updating. Here is 66. With Fabrice Lettermy right up. If you look at the timing board on the left hand side, you can see Fabrice Lettermy is practically alongside. Trying to get a nice little battle on with 66. Graham's ran a little bit wide in T1. opening the door for 66, and they go side by side down the hill. And all three of them are super close, and sadly, Graham just... It looked like Graham was maybe being a little bit too respectful there, and sadly, losing control. And that's him out of the race. There's 4 minutes left to go. And DNF'd. He did hit the wall and got a bit of car damage. And that's him out of the race. And that's 66 up into P2. So the battle for P2 in the championship is on right now. Excuse me. But what can this man Fabrice Lamy do to stir the pot a little bit? What can he do? 0.4 is the gap. Anders is currently 2 seconds behind. Bit of a recovery drive, and you can see Graham there parked up in pit road. Up the hill we go. It does look like Fabrice Lamy is maybe struggling to keep up just that little bit. The gap between 66 and Sonny with 3 minutes to go is 2 seconds. And something is going to have to happen for anything there to really get capitalised. And says 66 sets some absolutely worldy times. And Sonny drops off the pace quite a lot, which I don't really see happening. Through the chicane we go for lap 6. Again, we're still watching Fabrice Lamy. Trying to get things done. Up the hill we go. It's a bit hard to know what to say when when you're recording the commentary and you can't see the car. Oh dear. But to be fair, going off the sway of the cameras, it does look like Fabrice Lamy is making a few errors here and there. 66 has indeed got the gap down to 1.2 seconds. Doing a 1 minute 12.3. And what you can see on your screen now, this is what I can kind of see as we move over to Fabrice Lamy. What I can actually see, which is nothing. I can't see Fabrice Lamy. He's just not there for some reason. But to be fair, the auto director's really enjoying Lamy in this round, round 6. But we do move back to 66, who is now with, well, this lap +1 to go. Less than a second behind Sonny. So something's going to be able to be done here. Surely the rate that 66 is catching him up and taking the corners a lot tidier than Sonny. Sonny's running a little bit wide in some key corners of pace. It's very important to keep it smooth. And it does look like Sonny was running a little bit wide there through the old hairpin. And up the hill we go. Still watching Fabrice Lamy for some reason. And back to 66 we go. 0.4 is now the gap. You can just see 66's Civic seeming to grip up a little bit more through the blind right-hander as 6 kind of just goes, hello, I'm here, I'm in your mirrors. Puts Sonny under a bit of pressure, and to be fair, the pressure he is under going side by side over the timing line. Why are we watching Fabrice Lamy? Here we go, that's more like it. 66 trying to stick around the outside, and the camera's still stuck on Fabrice Lamy. It's definitely a bug. 66 trying to go round the outside of Cool Kid Sonny, and Sonny manages to fend off 66 for the time being as they go down the hill towards the old hairpin. Can Sonny keep the momentum going this time around? He brakes nice and early, nice and straight. Beautifully done. Maybe a little bit of a cut there, not quite sure, but it's very nicely taken. But he's still under an awful lot of pressure from 66. But look at that timing board. The whole grid split by less than a second almost. As we come up to the blind right-hander for the final time in Season 5. Can a challenge be mounted? The gap is only 0.2, so surely something can be done. Sonny goes really defensive there. 66 getting a toe. And hard into the braking zone we go. And they're incredibly slow, and I know that. Fabrice Lamy has dived down the inside, heading towards the timing line. It's going to be a sprint. And it looks like Cool Kid Sonny is going to take the victory. Fabrice Lamy gets P2. 66 gets P3. Anders gets P4 with the fastest lap of a 1 minute 11.549. And Graham sadly DNF'd, even though the race pace was decent from them. Whew. That was really hard to commentate. Let's take a look at the final standings. So Anders has won Season 5 with 295 points. In joint second was 66 and Cool Kid Sonny with 253. Second ultimately going to 66 for more race wins, meaning Sonny took P3. Fabrice Lamy P4 with 221. So it really is a case of just turning up week in, week out. You do not know what's going to happen. When Sonny started with the PNTCC, admittedly his first few results were not necessarily the best, but look how they did towards the end of the championship, battling for and getting race wins. Chosen in his first ever league, I believe, is P5 with 176. Mark Coulson P6 with 117, the Master Chief. Noah Burridge in P7 with 97. I think Noah would have been right up there if he attended each week as well, because Burridge was not slow. Jamski sadly missing quite a few events due to illness, and hopefully is making a good recovery. The Season 4 champion, it finishes in P8 in Season 5. Lara Lemming only doing a couple of races, is in P9. Bo Dixon, the one and only Bo Dixon, only did the first round of the PNTCC and finished P10. And Sobek also only did one round, rounding us off in P11. So thank you awfully for watching these rounds of the PNTCC. Sorry, I don't know why I kind of like stopped then. I kind of had a bit of a brain freeze moment. What is next for Pretty Ninja Racing? I'm so glad you asked. Here's a trailer.